Hi beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Alava and I make faith related and medical related videos. In today's video, I'm going to be continuing with a series that I do where I reveal the different departments that I have been in as an intern doctor. For those of you that may not know, I am an intern doctor and I am currently in my last rotation. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing Obs and Gynae, which I finished a few months ago. And yeah, it's going to be a very chatty video, so please sit down, get comfortable, and let's get straight into it. Okay, so first things first, I think the sound in this video is going to be a little bit different from my normal videos. If you have noticed, the sound in my videos nowadays is a little bit off, and that's because my microphone is spoiled. Crying. So I am waiting for a new microphone to come through, so please bear with me guys. I know the sound won't be total, but please just bear with me for this video. I promise you it's going to get back on track in the next video. Alright, so I'm going to be talking about Obs and Gynae, which I finished. Like, Obs and Gynae is one of those departments where when you start off you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, this is so much. And then when you're leaving it or when you've left it, you're like, I actually really miss it. And that's like my stance right now. I really miss Obs and Gynae. Like, I miss it so much. And yeah, I'm going to start off by giving you the pros of the department. Maybe that's why you're going to understand why I miss it so much. Before I get into that, I just want to give a disclaimer that in all my videos I always say I'm a physician. I don't think I'm a surgeon, but I think like leaving Obs and Gynae and transitioning into a medical department, I'm not in pediatrics, I realized that, okay, you know what, we need to think about that again. We really need to think about that stance again, but I'm going to get into it in a minute or two. For now, let's get straight into the pros of the Obs and Gynae department. First things first, it is a highly paced and highly rewarding department. And what I mean by that is that Obs and Gynae, if you love good patient outcomes, Obs and Gynae is for you, because like the patient outcomes usually from all the departments that I have been in, Obs and Gynae has the best patient outcome. And on top of that, it's like a very high-paced environment. You're always on the go, you're always like there, people are always delivering, people are always in labor, you get emergencies. Like, it's very high-paced, and the fulfillment that you get is that you've actually helped a woman. This is specifically in obstetrics. You've actually helped a woman deliver, you've helped a woman go through her journey of pregnancy, and you see your reward, you see that there's a baby. It's really fulfilling when you actually see that. Like, it is very high-paced and you get immediate gratification. You get your baby delivered and your patient can go home with a healthy baby. Like, there is that instant gratification that I love about Obs and Gynae. The second pro is that you see life at its genesis. I cannot stress this enough. There is nothing quite like seeing life come into this world. To see a baby born. Of course, I know that the person who's going through it, maybe it's not the best experience because of the pain and everything. But you, on the other hand, like, there is nothing like seeing life come into this earth. I cannot explain it. Like, that's just the point. I can't even explain it. Like, that is one of the best and most rewarding feelings in the world. Like, that is where no other department can compare to Obs and Gynae. Not even pediatrics, not even NIC ICU scab. Nothing can compare to actually seeing life. Like, seeing a baby take its first breath, seeing a baby cry. Like, oh, it's just such a beautiful thing. And that is one of the biggest pros about Obs and Gynae. The third pro is like there is so much adrenaline. As I mentioned, it is a very high-paced environment. So like when you have an emergency, like, it's go time. Like, you don't waste time, it is go time. Like, you have to move. And I love that. For me who loves emergency medicine, for me who loves the adrenaline rush that I get in emergencies, that was really good for me because it motivates me to want to do more for my patient. Like, I just love that adrenaline rush that I get. So yeah, I love that about Obs and Gynae. You get such a good adrenaline rush. Another pro that I have for Obs and Gynae is the working community or the working environment. Obs and Gynae by far had the most family-like relationship between people, if I could say. Maybe in my previous department, because I was at the beginning of my internship, maybe I just didn't know how to bond, I don't know, with maybe the nurses or something. But I feel like in Obs and Gynae, the nurses, the midwives, like, you really become a family. The interns, the seniors, like, you really become a family. Because I think you're such a close-knit group of people. For example, the midwives especially train in obstetrics and gynecology. So they only rotate in labor ward, gynecology ward, and obstetric ward. You won't find a midwife in the surgical ward or the medical ward, you know, because that is the specialty. So like maybe in other departments, you have nurses that come from like the opposite department of where they are coming from. from and they're going to the other end. But in obs and gynae, you have the same people that are just rotating in the same ones. So I think that is how the family is formed. You just know each other, they all know each other, and you just sit and chat when you're on call for like 12 hours, 24 hours together. You just bond, you eat, you talk, you laugh, you dance. Like, I thought a family in obs and gynae, and I don't think I can compare that to any other department. Like, there was just that group of, like, that bonded family. Alright, okay, sorry about that interruption. The camera went off for some strange reason and I have been filming for like the past 15 minutes and I just noticed that it went off. So yeah, we will continue wherever it is that we left off. The last positive I think that I was talking about obs and gynae is that if you are that type of person who likes to work with a specific population group, then that's good for you. You're going to enjoy it because you don't have to work with males and your prime age group is like 20, 30, 40, 50. You do work with people younger than that and you definitely will have people older than that, but your prime age group is just that and it's only females. So if that's something that you like, then you will enjoy that about obs and gynae. One of the biggest cons about obs and gynae is maternal mortalities. If you work anywhere in the hospital, you know exactly what I mean by that. Number one, it's just sad to lose a mother, to see that the child is going to be motherless, or maybe to have a fetal death. It's a sad situation, of course, but everything else that follows afterwards is also a con. If you work in the hospital, you will know what I mean. Number two, one of the cons that I didn't like is in my department, in my hospital where I was working, the timetable was bad. Like, you'd have call in OPD, you'd have call in the labor ward, you'd have night call, and then you'd be post call, then you go to the ward and you go back and call. So like the timetable, that was the first, I think the first 80% of with the time I was in obs and gynae. It changed when I was about to leave the department and became better, but the timetable used to be really, really horrible. You find that in a 7-day week, you'll be on call 5 days of the week. Like, it was bad. The timetable was so bad. That was one thing that I didn't like about obs and gynae. Also, another thing is that you will know what lower back pain is in obs and gynae. Like, guys, when you're in the labor ward and you have to deal with someone, even if like sometimes I'll get a chair and I'll sit, you tell the woman to be in this position, but the fact that you still have to like look, if someone gets a cervical tear, a laceration, like whatever it is, you have to like fidget, and then like when you're suturing just the position, you will know lower back pain in your life. That's one of the big cons about obs and gynae. The other thing is that obs and gynae is very unpredictable. I think compared to other departments, especially like the core days, it was very unpredictable. The nights in surgery, you know, the weekends are very busy, especially like in the copper belt. If you're like Kopala, you know, like people on the weekend, you find people with bruises and cuts and fractures and all these other things, and they'll come into the hospital at night after a night of partying. Like, you get that in surgery, you know, like that's the busy time. In pediatrics, you get the seasons, you have like the pneumonia season, you have the diarrhea season, you have all those seasons, and you know, like that's the busy period. In medicine, there's no busy period, but it's always busy. So that's predictable. But like in obs and gynae, you get like really quiet days that are going to like immediately change and just become busy in 2 hours. Then you get like really busy days that are going to like quiet down. So it's very, very, very unpredictable. The other con about obs and gynae is cervical cancer. Like, guys, dealing with cervical cancer, I made a video on different health checkups that we should be getting as women. I'm going to link it up here or up here. I don't know where it's going to be. But if you're a woman, please go have your cervix checked. Like, it's so sad because we always catch these cases in the late stages, and it's just really, really sad when you see what these women go through, the way they bleed, the way they suffer. Like, just have your cervix checked, guys. If you're of childbearing age, if you're sexually active, just check your cervix because cervical cancer is a beast. The other thing that I would say is a con for me personally is having to do with abortions, not spontaneous but elective abortions specifically. Because of my faith and my beliefs, will not perform abortions, but just having to deal with the whole scenario for me wasn't so pleasing. I had a patient once who came in, she went to the traditional abortion doctor, or people who go to like these illegal centers and they'll come in like with sepsis or something. She came in, she went to traditional abortion doctor who put like herbs, I don't know what herbs they put, and they got like a bamboo stick and like she came in like torn up, ripped apart, like it was just a mess. Oh gosh, like just having to deal with that, and you have a patient that comes in like that was just a huge con for me. And then one of the biggest cons of this department, I despise it. To this day, if there's a reason I would never do obs and gynae in my life, this is the reason. I despise it. It's having to deal with rape, molestation, and sexual assault. I hate it. I hated it with a passion, guys. Like having to deal with a 3-year-old that was raped, having to deal with a 9-year-old that has been sexually abused by her own biological father for the past 2 years, having to deal with an 11-year-old that has syphilis, HIV, HPV, genital warts, all because she's been sexually abused for the past 3-4 years by a neighbor. Oh my gosh! I don't know if you can tell. Like I hated that part of obs and gynae. A woman being brought in because she was found on the roadside because she was beaten halfway to death, swollen everywhere because they raped her, gang rape. If there's anything I despised, that put me off obs and gynae for the rest of my life. Like that is such a huge con for me. Like I don't think there's anyone who would enjoy that. I know there are people that are passionate and they want to make a difference, and maybe they'll go into that for that specific reason. I support you 100%. I love that you are willing to fight for these people. I really, really love it, and we need more of you. But for me personally, like that was a huge no. Alright people, so now we're going to go into the part of the video where I give you 5 tips for this specific department. And the first tip that I have is that you have to be respectful, because it is a highly sensitive and a very emotional department. What I mean by that is that you are dealing with women only, women generally. You are dealing with a very sensitive area, like genitals are always sensitive. I said this in the urology video. You have to be very sensitive because you're dealing with a very intimate area, but also it is emotional in the sense of gynecology. We're dealing with cervical cancer. You're dealing with issues that are related to people, maybe sexual issues. For example, the older generation, maybe they're unable to sexually please their husbands. They've had something, vaginal prolapse or something. Younger generation, maybe they're dealing with like a miscarriage. Someone has been trying for a child and they have a stillbirth or they have a miscarriage. People that have been trying for years and they've been unable to get pregnant and they come to you for help, IVF, all that stuff. Like those are very sensitive areas that people are dealing with. Those are very sensitive topics. So you have to be very respectable and of course sensitive to things that you're going to be coming across in obs and gynae. The second tip that I have is that you have to expect the nasty. And when I say expect the nasty, I mean like in labor ward. In labor ward, you know, like there are a lot of fluids that fly in labor wards. There's amniotic fluids, there's urine, there's like, you know, blood. There's a lot of fluids in labor ward. So just expect the nasty. When you have someone who's having a miscarriage, it's sad in OPD, you know, expect the nasty. It's obs and gynae. There's discharges, you know, expect the nasty. This is actually really hard to talk about. The urology video was easier. The third tip I have is that learn how to read a partograph, especially if you're going to read the labor ward. You have to know your partograph. You have to know when it started. You have to know to time it correctly. You have to know when to start making changes to augment. You have to know the action line, what to do, when to do it. Like you just have to know your partograph. You have to know how to handle labor. You have to know how to augment labor, when to rupture the membranes, when to sweep the membranes, when to put oxytocin, like just know how to handle your labor and augment it when augmentation is needed. The fourth thing is you have to know how to handle your bleeds. You will have people that are going to come bleeding in labor ward, in OPD, like obs and gynae is a bloody department. You have people that have had prolonged menses. Like just have to know how to handle your bleeds. In pregnancy, if it's ABH, if it's PPH, you have to know how to handle that specific scenario. It's an emergency, you have to treat it. If it's a miscarriage, if it's a threatening, you have to know to differentiate between threatening, incomplete, complete, missed abortion, septic abortion, all these different types of abortions, drug miscarriages. You need to know how to handle them and know when to do what. Don't go doing an MPA in a threatening abortion. If the cervix is open, if it's an inevitable abortion, like you just need to know how to diagnose and how to handle these things. If it's APH, for example, if it's you have to know whether it's placenta previa, if it's painless, it's bleeding, if it's placenta abruption, if there are like huge clots and painful, there's a tense abdomen, woody hard abdomen, that you have to be able to diagnose and recognize and treat, manage the bleeders in obstetrics. The last tip that I have for you is that you have to have your vagina examination and your obstetric abdominal examination on point. You need to know what you are feeling for. It took me many months. I remember I was taught as a student, and when I was a student, I agreed that I knew what was happening, but I realized when I was an intern that I didn't know what was happening. And as an intern, I had to like relearn an obstetric examination, just knowing how to feel for the baby, knowing whether it's cephalic, it's breech. Just know your examination, obstetric examination, being able to pick the fetal heart, comparing it to the maternal heart, being able to pick fetal heart if it's twins. You have to know your vagina examination. In OB, if you have, like I said, a miscarriage, you have to know what a normal cervix feels like, a closed cervix. You need to know CMT, for example, if it's ectopic pregnancy, you will get CMT. If it's PID, you get CMT, that is cervical motion tenderness. When you move the cervix, the patient experiences pain. You need to know what the cervix feels like. You need to know if the cervix is open or closed. You need to know a multipara cervix in obs and gynae. You need to know how far a woman is dilated. You need to know your cervical examination. You need to know how to measure the station of the baby's head in accordance with the ischiospines. You need to know what amniotic sac feels like, if the membranes are intact. Like the presenting part, you need to know all these things in your obstetric and in your vagina examination. All these things are stuff that you're going to be recording in your notes every time you do an examination, whether it's after 2 hours, 4 hours, or 6 hours, and also on your partograph. So that's stuff that you need to know. You need to have at the tip of your fingers. Of course, you have to practice. Practice makes perfect. But yeah, you have to know that stuff. Alright people, so that is the end of my video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I have made a bunch of videos talking about my experience in the different departments, and I'm going to try and link it up here so that you guys can go and watch all those videos and see my experiences in the different departments as I have been through my internship. I am officially in my last department, meaning I have one more video for you guys. I'm sure you already know it is pediatrics that is going to be coming at the end of my rotation. So I am pretty excited. Thank you for being with me throughout this journey. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share it, comment down below any other things that you'd like to say about obs and gynae. And once again, I am sorry for the sound. I know like it's going to be off, but I'm really sorry for the sound. And the lighting also, the sun started to set and the camera cut, and I had to start recording. So you know, like recording after 17 hours is always an issue. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video guys, and I will see you in the next one. By the way, if you haven't noticed yet, I am releasing a lot of vlogs lately. I release vlogs when I can on Thursdays, so please do turn on the notifications so that you don't miss a video from me. Sundays is my normal video, and Thursday or Friday is my vlog video. So yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy the content on my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.